Hello and welcome to the last video you will ever need about losing weight. Coming from someone who actually lost tons of weight and I'm still actively losing weight, this video contains all the knowledge that you need to start losing weight and keep losing it. Because honestly, let's be real, you've been trying tons of stuff but nothing worked, right? That's because most of the extra advice pulls you away from what actually works. Alright? And in this video, we're gonna be settling the record straight. We're gonna be sticking to basics, cut the noise, and actually lose the weight instead of theorizing about it. So let's just dive in. What I'm about to tell you is 1.5 year compressed. Okay, I started at 121 kilograms back in May 2025, my peak weight. I smoked 30 cigarettes a day. I lost weight and gained weight and lost it again and get it again. And I finally landed on the basics. And this is the version that I would give to an office worker who's still overthinking. That was me. And I still work in office, by the way. I am seated all day. I work in management, so I don't have much activity going on. I don't have the influencer 4 hours a day training routine. I don't have anything special. I'm just a normal guy working a normal job, going after work, doing my thing. That's how I'm losing weight. Now, here is how we establish the basics and actually filter out what we do not need. If you have BMI over 24 with clear excess fat, you lose the weight first. Nothing else to talk about. There is no zone 2 training. There is no HIIT workout. There is no intermittent fasting. There is none of that stuff, okay? Nothing about nutrition or training will save you from this fact. If you have BMI over 24, you're overweight. It's as simple as that. So what you do here is you stick to basics and stick to basics only. You stay in calorie deficit. That's the first thing. You stick to a diet and nutrition basics that actually keep you full, keep you satisfied, and doesn't push your willpower to its max. You train twice a week minimum and you walk a lot. That's all you need. That's how I went from 121 kilograms to 92.4 only a few days ago. Okay, I lost around 28 kilograms, and that's within the course of 15 months. I think that's pretty good. Now, you may not what the overthinking looks like, so let me show you what it actually looks like in practice. I did it myself. This is a mistake I did before, and I am highly recommending that you don't fall into the same trap. You establish 6 days training immediately. You start like first day chest. You have 5 days split, for example, and you have extra day for workout, like cardio workout, and then you do workouts after the training session, or you do walks or whatever. You practically have twice a day sessions, right? You have extra cardio, you have extra muscle groups like abs, obliques, you have arms, you have calves, you have all that. And you have the perfect diet as well. You have the perfect protein shake. You have the perfect fruits to pick and the perfect sleep and 0 sweets. And now you fail at day 1. All right. Maybe you have strong willpower. You push through week 1, then week 2, then week 4. Then you fail dramatically because you're not seeing the results that you thought you would be seeing by then. And that's how you keep restarting your perfect week over and over again. And that's how you spend years in the gym and you spend months in caloric deficit without seeing any results. Now, because this perfect week creates too many failure points because you're raising your expectations way too high for yourself. And one missed session feels like a complete collapse because you have so much going on. So one slip here or there sabotages everything, right? Because it is interrupting the train of thoughts or the train of processes that you are going through. And of course, soreness and fatigue spike, the diet starts feeling like punishment, and then you resent instead of continuing. And that's how you actually lose interest in doing what you are supposed to be doing. I'm not saying to abandon what science says and what actually that's interesting to you. I'm saying that when you are overweight and you are working in an office, what you need to be focusing on is the minimum week that actually moves the scale. That actually takes you from week 1, you're weighting something, and week 2, you're weighting something lighter. That's it. Okay? You do less than your fantasy, but you do it long enough to become evidence. For example, you can have a deficit every day, okay, light deficit like 500 kilocalories or something, with one controlled relaxed meal per week. That's it. You train twice a week, anything repeatable counts. And you walk whenever possible, and do not make counting steps a religion. Whenever possible, do not go beyond possible. The idea here is to keep things simple, right? Simple does not mean easy. It just means it's harder to sabotage, all right? How can you fuck up a 5 minutes walk after you eat something, right? Now, when it comes to dieting, we mentioned that we're going to be staying in caloric deficit, right? So how do we do that in practice? Well, here's what I figured out. The average man usually needs 2,200 calories. Now, you can go above and beyond on how much calories your specific body actually needs, but that's just overthinking. I'm advising you like directly to get it off your head, because it's not gonna help you stay in deficit. Assume you're average and just go for it. The average man requires 2,200 calories to maintain, right? So to get into caloric deficit, we subtract 500 calories, okay? Now we're left with 1,700. We do 3 meals split. Each meal has 500 calories. And one enjoyable thing, like a cone of ice cream, bitter chocolate, something like that, 200 calories. It's just 200 calories. It can spike to 300 even. You're still in caloric deficit. You see the power here? But if every meal has extra calories, then that's a problem. And that's why you adjust based on real evidence. You keep track of your weight, of your waist, and your general energy, how you feel about yourself. And that's how you go about your diet. You then adjust what you eat, okay? Now, how do you know what you eat? Because it's really hard, right? Because when you're in caloric deficit, you'd think you would need a lot more than you actually need. Now, what I did, and what you should do, is you anchor your food to 3 or 4 like main source of proteins, right? Like, let's say you have 200 uncooked chicken breast, okay? 3 whole full, like 3 whole boiled eggs. Maybe you have chicken thighs. Maybe you have ground beef, like something like that. When you have this at the center of your meal, you're always guaranteed to have a high portion of protein every time, right? And you then add to that vegetables and fruits and volume, like for volume and fiber, right? Then you add, like for energy, you can add rice, any type of rice, it doesn't matter. Bread, any type of bread, doesn't matter. Or potatoes, right? Now, you can also overthink and consider brown rice or white rice, but honestly, what matters is that it's carbs. Slower or faster digestion doesn't make a difference, because a calorie is a calorie at the end of the day, right? And we need to stay in caloric deficit. So no need for overthinking here. I think you can see that clearly now, right? Confusion must not become a food order. That's the main thing here. When you are confused, you don't know what to eat or what you should be having today, you can just pick up one anchor and just lean on it. You can have eggs every time if you feel confused. You can have chicken breast every time if you're confused. Or you can have some form of light cheese or something, right? That's what I have in my fridge all the time. That's what I keep my head on. I have the exact thing in my fridge all the time. Whenever I'm bored, I just think of one of those foods. That's what I do. Now, the calories that you do not count as food still count, all right? You need to be extremely careful when it comes to oils and butter, right? Like one splash of olive oil, like one extra splash can easily add 200 calories or something, right? So you wait or use a sprayer, okay? I use a sprayer. It's much more convenient. Sauces like mayonnaise, ranch, creamy dressings, always measure those. And honestly, I have a rule of thumb. Any sauce that has anything above 200 kilocalories is off the fridge. It doesn't go into the fridge. It's not in the house. Because one extra splash of barbecue sauce, let's say for example, it's 150 calories per 100 grams, right? So if I do an extra splash, that's 50 calories, that's nothing, right? But if I do an extra splash of mayo, that's 200 calories. That's a lot. It's a half a meal. So we added calories that did not benefit us just by mistake of having mayonnaise. So don't have mayonnaise at all. You can, even light mayonnaise is dense, by the way. It's 450 calories something. Drinks, liquid drinks in particular, like they first, they don't fill you up. Second, they are sugar bombs, so you avoid those completely, right? For me, I basically use like Diet Coke and black coffee. That's it. All right. Healthy drinks and smoothies, like I mentioned, they are sugar bombs. You avoid them. Okay, unless you really, really want to have one, you can have it in your day, like as like a sweet, right? Like sweet thing, like the 200 calories extra we talked about to have something enjoyable. Yeah, you can have one, and that's it. Okay, random extras like toppings and snacks and bites, you also need to count those. Okay, you keep them in your mind. You can have like a protein pancake, but if you add a granola on top of it, then you are adding 60 or 70 calories extra. So you keep that in mind. All right. Training. We mentioned training twice a week. Now, what do we train in these twice a week? Well, whatever you feel like it. You want to do bro split? Go for it. You want to do body weight? You want to do running, swimming, cycling, rope skips, you want to go to the gym, whatever works for you, right? The best method is the one you can repeat. What I did was I started running 5 kilometers, just 5 kilometers. That's what I did. I just wanted to run in the park. That's all I wanted. So I went to the park, I ran 5 kilometers as much as I could, because I ran and then I got really tired very fast, and then I walked the rest of the distance, and then I tried to run again. That's how I went from. That's the point that I came from. Today, I do 5 kilometers within 30 minutes. And it blows my mind. I never thought I could do it. Now, before I get into my personal details, I just want to mention quickly that walking is king, especially for you, the office worker. You work in management, you work in HR, and you're seated all day, right? And so walking is your friend. It's easy enough, it's efficient enough, and recoverable enough. You don't suffer from recovery after it, like the other training forms. Walk after work whenever possible. Walk in the park if it helps you stay consistent. Consistency is the key thing here. Forget turning 10K steps into religion. I hate the 10K number. It's bullshit. You cannot stick to it. It takes a lot of time. Like I mentioned, do something that you enjoy and like. If you want to go from point A to point B and it takes you extra 10 minutes if you walk, then go and take the walk. Don't do the 10K steps bullshit. I tried it. It doesn't work, by the way. It only works when you are a gym influencer and you have plenty of time in your day. You basically live in somewhere like in Beverly Hills or in the woods or something, then you actually enjoy the 10K steps. But if you're in a city and you have a small park here and there, I don't think 10K steps will do it for you. I'm talking from experience here, all right? So don't consider 10K steps unless you really, really, really want it. Honestly, it's not worth it that much. But what matters is that the movement that repeats beats movement that looks impressive once. Like you can do 10K steps. I actually did 12K and 15K and 20K. It doesn't matter. I don't enjoy walking this much, to be honest. But I enjoy small walks. That's fine for me. So I do a lot of those instead of doing 10K step that burns the shit out of my soul. You know what I mean? Now let's get back to the past, where I started. I started in April 2025, right? Yeah, these are exact numbers. And I was 121 kilogram body weight, right? I used to smoke 30 cigarettes a day and I had asthma. And that's why I struggled with heavy breathing and I get tired all the time, very fast. And this is like, I was very insecure about sharing this before, but it is true. I was afraid of rushing the stairs because my body felt unsafe. Like I felt like I could break my leg if I rushed the stairs. And food leaks just everywhere. I just make like a huge plate of lasagna. I just go and get everything on the Korean food menu. I just do all this crazy shit. But to get myself from the pit that I was in to where I am today, I started with, like I mentioned, just 5 kilometers in the park twice a week. I run as much as I can and then I walk the rest. It's as simple as that, right? But I didn't do everything in the same week. I did all that in like a step by step. I first quit smoking in the first week because it is intense and it requires its own attention. I finished that, then I went into the second week. I cut the obvious food leaks, right? I haven't had lasagna in since I started this journey, honestly. But it's an obvious leak, so it had to go. I started running, like I mentioned, 5 kilometers regardless of time. I had some space in time. I had some time. I could measure it takes 1.5 hours to finish the 5 kilometers course, and then I go home, I get showered, and then I go to work. And sometimes I do that in the evening after I get from my work. What matters is that I do it twice a week. That's all that mattered to me. Then I started to add gradually, then do it 3 times a week, then do a different variation, do an incline or do longer runs. And then I went all the way to do half marathons. And then I finished my 30 kilometers run. And I actually documented the 30 kilometers run when I did it back in November 2025. And today I finished 6 kilometers runs casually under 40 minutes. And my fastest run was a few weeks ago. I did 5 kilometers under 30 minutes. And now doing half marathons under 3 hours feel normal. I do 12 kilometers in 1 hour and 20 minutes or something like that. If you would have told me 1 year ago that this will be your life, I wouldn't have believed it. But adding gradually here, as you see, it's earned. It's something I did step by step. I didn't have the mega plan and then I apply everything at once. I apply everything step by step. That's how I stayed consistent, and I consistently lost around 27 kilograms. And I made my waist go from 125 centimeters to only now 102, 103. It's still wiggling, but it's in that range. I went all the way from extra large. Now I'm wearing large and medium. All right. If that's what you want, that's what you do. Because when we get to advanced stuff, advanced tips, talking about obliques or zone 2 or zone 3 workouts, and using the Fit Watch to measure your pace and your heart rate, and you create more rules around what you're doing, and you then have more expectations of yourself instead of just enjoying the thing or doing the thing that really makes you excited and engaged. Then you are increasing the expectations, and when you raise the expectations too high, you face failure eventually, because there are a lot of failure points. You can, for example, you can have the perfect day and it can be ruined by an event with a friend. You screwed up your diet or you missed your workout or anything like that. Then the whole thing collapses because your expectations are way too high. And this is perfectionism in its most disciplined form. And so what happens is that, I used to be a beginner as well, I chased the 2% optimizations while I was ignoring the 90% that matters, the basics, the things that work. But I work a full time. I cannot devote my whole day to execute a program, a training program, like the influencers stuff. And so it's too big for a working week, right? Because if you miss one thing, it makes the whole system feels like it's broken, because one time you're leaking in food, the other time you're leaking in training. Sometimes you want to make your training shorter, but because you are devoting way too much energy into it, you then feel the pressure to make it happen. And when you feel the pressure to make it happen all the time, it feels like another job, and you start to hate it. You start to resent it, and actually you quit it sooner or later. So my recommendation is not to install everything on Monday. All right. If you have a plan, We talked about diet, and we talked about how much to train, what to train, and how to train. Start with every week, start a new thing. First week, adjust your diet. Start getting yourself in caloric deficit. Okay? Then week 2, you add a training. 1 session a week. You don't necessarily have to add 2. Just add 1. If it works, perfect. You can do it twice a week in a row. Perfect. Then add the 3rd thing. Then add another session of walking. Then add another thing. And that's how you can, like, complexity is earned. You cannot just throw complexity at yourself and expect perfect results. And more importantly, you need the open-mindedness to accept that you might make mistakes, but you also stick to the plan. If you have a bad meal, your training survives. If you miss a workout, your diet survives. That's why in my tracker that I talked about and shared, I have a nutrition line and I have training line separate, because I'm not looking for perfect here. If I just make either one, the day passes for me. It's fine, because that's what makes me on the track, the input, not just the perfect image of, I am now on diet and I'm now training. And so that's what it's on point. If I do both, that's perfect. But if I do one, that's also good. That's not a bad day. It's a bad day if I miss both. And that's it. That's all you need to do. In summary, you focus on getting a calorie deficit, and then you do simplest training possible that you can do, and keep doing that for as long as you can. My transformation to go from 121 kilograms to today 92, like it's wiggling, but it's in 93, 92 something. It took me 15 months to get to this point. So I'm not inviting you to do this for 15 months, just for 6 months. Okay, show me the man who did this for 6 months and failed. That's all you gotta do. Instead of thinking about all the obliques and core and doing this and doing that and doing deadlifts, and you are overthinking this. And by overthinking, you are adding complexity that is unnecessary, and you are guaranteeing yourself to fail. So keep things simple, stay in deficit, eat repeatable normal meals. All right, train twice a week minimum, walk a lot, and build your lifestyle in layers, step by step. Because what I want from you ultimately is to stop studying advanced answer to a basic problem and solve the basic problem by taking basic steps. I hope this video leaves you with the clear next step that you should be taking right now. Let me know in the comments if you want to start your diet or you want to start your training, which is a priority for you right now. Let me know in the comments. I answer every comment, and I'm always happy to help. That's it for me in this video. Thank you for watching. Stay safe. Take care.